Good morning. I'm Ellen Davis, the minister of Unity Spiritual Center of Denton. Last Sunday, I gave my Sunday morning talk from my home because ice and snow was predicted with possible icy roads. My new Mac computer, which works great at church, did not work so well at home. As a result, Facebook Live did not happen as I had advertised. I decided to give the talk again without announcements or meditation or any of our normal church service activities. I wanted to give it because I think it's so pertinent to today's climate of fear about COVID, the political divide, and how all of these things can cause us stress and anxiety, which affects our emotional health and our physical health. The talk is entitled Miracles, Emotions, and Healing. Yesterday or last Saturday, I was at a Walmart grocery store and I was third in line. And there was a lady ahead of me who said she had been waiting for at least 20 minutes while a woman tried to use her card that was being rejected. I know we've all been in that situation, and it is frustrating. But the lady also said, the one in line ahead of me, that she knew her blood pressure was going up because she was so frustrated and angry. And she even yelled at a clerk. And so her level of anxiety and anger were high. And I made me realize how innately we know how anger and anxiety can affect our physical health. She even said she could feel her blood pressure going up. And it's important to maintain a center of calm and peace during these times. And I think it's really hard not to be anxious or worried. But I always go back to the scripture that Jesus said, that my peace I give to you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. Now, what does that scripture really mean? There is a peace that we can maintain within us that can be there no matter what's going on in the outer world. In the outer world, it oftentimes is not peaceful. There's always something going on that could upset us. We could focus on the upset and be anxious and worried, and then it affects our body and it affects our health. And it's important to realize that our thoughts and emotions are tied to our body. And if you begin to get into the meditation every morning and prayer and really attune to the spiritual being that you really are at your core, then all of this will not easily upset you. You can maintain a center of peace no matter what's happening, no matter if people are against you, no matter how many people hate you for what you believe or what you think. It doesn't matter. There is a center of peace within you that you can connect to and maintain loving compassion for people and also maintain your peace, which directly affects your health and peace of mind. I'm on Facebook a lot. I really enjoy seeing what people say and think. I love seeing pictures of my grandchildren. And I also see a lot of prayer requests. I get to see what's going on with people. And I see a lot of anger being expressed. And I just wonder if these people, if they're as angry inside as they express on Facebook, realize what they're doing to their bodies. So I thought that it would be important to be giving a talk that reminds people of how important it is to stay centered and calm. Unity had its start in healing. Myrtle Fillmore was the co-founder of Unity, and she was healed of TB by focusing on who she was or is as a spiritual being and maintained an affirmations work, that as a child of God, she could not inherit illness. She focused on that instead of the dire predictions being given to her. She focused on faith in that spiritual being that she was and faith in God. And she knew how important it was to meditate. Charles Fillmore promoted meditation. He meditated 30 minutes every day, and he also worked on forgiveness. And they stayed focused on that idea throughout their ministry. They established the 24-hour prayer line. And prayer is so important. Sometimes things happen to us that seemingly seem out of our control, like accidents, or maybe we do have a condition that seems genetic. But as we begin to work on prayer and the idea that prayer can overcome anything, then we have a key to how to work our way into a sense of wellness and good health. And I ran into 3 different stories that I wanted to share with you that are true stories. And each of them involves a sense of faith and a sense of prayer. And each one is different in that sense. The first story is about a little girl, 10 years old, named Anna. And there was a movie made about her, and everything in the movie was true. It's called Miracles Happen. And she lives in Burleson with her family. She has 2 siblings. And when she was 10 years old, she began to have extreme pain in her abdomen. And she was having trouble every time she ate. So her parents took her to the ER at the Fort Worth hospital. And they discovered that at the ER that her brain somehow quit communicating with her intestines, so her intestines were not working. And there were specialists in that field. So one of the most important specialists was in Boston, but he was booked up for 6 months. Her mother took her to Boston and waited in the waiting room until an opening was opened up, a cancellation happened. And the doctor did all kinds of tests, and he also gave her the same diary report that he could not do anything to help her. So they continued to go back and forth. And the girl received IVs in order to get nutrients, but she was in extreme pain, had pain medication all the time. And the girl expressed the feeling that she did not really want to live in pain for the rest of her life. She did not like her quality of life. One day she went out to play with her sister, and they climbed up a tree, and the tree had a hole in the middle of it. And she ended up going headfirst down the hole. And when the firemen and ambulance and medics arrived, they prepared the parents for the idea that she possibly would be dead. They said they couldn't see how anybody could survive that fall. So the mother put her hands on the tree, and a bunch of people gathered around the tree and behind her, and they all prayed. They prayed and prayed and prayed that the girl would survive. And when they brought the girl up, she was unconscious, but she had survived. And when they arrived at the hospital, she was awake and normal. She was bruised up, but there were no broken bones. Nothing was out of place. And then later on, to their surprise, they found that she was able to eat food, and it looked like she had overcome that problem she had of her brain communicating to her intestines. So to make sure, they flew to Boston, and the doctor there said, I can't believe it. I don't know what happened, except that when she fell and hit her head, then her brain may have reset, and then her brain was able to communicate again with her intestines. And she's 17 now. But I thought it was also interesting that when she hit the bottom of the tree, she relates, the girl, that she had a near-death experience, and there was a guide there, and the guide said, you need to go back. And the girl said, I don't want to go back unless I am back to normal, pain-free. And the guide, the angel, whatever you want to call it, that was talking to her, said, you will be normal when you go back. You won't be in pain anymore. What was interesting about that story to me is I think when the mother decided to pray, that it made a difference. I really do. I think the girl was dead. Who knows? Her bones may have been broken, but there was a whole group of people who immediately prayed. And I think the girl was able to come back because of that prayer. That's just my opinion. And I think that was an interesting story. Now, my mother used to subscribe to Mysterious Ways, which is a magazine put out by Guideposts, where they relate stories that are unexplainable. They're coincidences that are beyond the pale. And there was a story in there about a woman who was born colorblind, and she was able to live a normal life. And then she had a car accident. And when she was in the hospital, they operated on her. And when she came out of the operation, she was blind. She could not see. But she never gave up on the faith that she would see again. But it took 22 years. She never gave up. She prayed. And what happened, she did gain her sight, was she moved to another town, was unfamiliar with the room that she was in, and she tripped and fell, and she needed surgery for a bone fragment that would needed to be taken out in her leg. And they put her out for the surgery, and when she woke up, she could see again. And not only that, she was no longer colorblind. And she says, I know that God answered my prayer. And see, that was an individual. There wasn't a group prayer effort in this story. But her faith in her condition that she would be healed helped solve the problem for her, and she was able to see. And then Dr. Joseph Spencer, in one of his books, said that there was a man that went to the hospital because he had clogged arteries. His doctor had given him stress tests, and they were doing an exercise stress test, and they had to make him quit because a heart attack was imminent. So at that time, they put him on a high risk list, and he was scheduled for surgery early in the next day. Well, when the doctor went to do the surgery, he found out they did some more tests to see where the blockages were. There were no blockages. And the doctor said, this must be the wrong patient. But when they brought up his history, they knew that something had happened where all of a sudden his arteries were clear. What happened here, he later found out, was a group led by a shaman, a Native American shaman, had prayed when they found out about his condition. And they did singing and dancing and prayers. And then the next day he was healed. Again, this is another result of group prayer. I think prayer is underestimated. Prayer is powerful. And if you join in with a group prayer, it's even more powerful. That's why I think that the prayer ministry we have here at the church with 10 people on the prayer team, 11 including me, is so powerful. It's a group energy that can heal, can restore lost relationships, whatever. We're getting feedback all the time about miracles that happen during our healing prayers for other people. So I invite you not to be anxious about what's going on, to realize that all of your emotions are important for the good health and well-being of your body, for your emotions. Your emotions can cause you so much problems with your life in general, and particularly your body. So I want to leave you with a thought that Jesus expressed, let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid. I hope you have a wonderful week, and join me again on Sunday, where I will be doing a talk from the church on Facebook Live and Zoom. So go to the unitydenton.org website, and all the information about that and some of the classes that we'll be offering will be on that site. So have a good week.